Hey, welcome to this week's video. Today we're going to be talking about metronomes and how to use them. So this is my metronome that I grew up with. This is a mechanical metronome, so if you have one of these, just keep in mind it's not going to work if it's not level. So you can see that if obviously I'm exaggerating it, but let's see here. See if I can, faster makes it worse. So you can see if it's not level, what happens is it's not even, and that's obviously not what we want. So that's more what we want right there. And I don't know if it's perfectly level, but it's close enough where it sounds close. So a couple things about it. You might see on here, besides the numbers, you might see some metronomes have MM. The person who invented the metronome was a guy by the name of Mizell. Actually, I think in German it's like Malzel or something, but it was presented to me as Mizell. So the MM, a lot of people think stands for metronome marking, but it's actually Mizell's metronome. So the numbers are the beats per minute. So if we're at like 120 on here, that's 120 beats that are going by in a minute. And other than that, it's just something that was developed to try to help human beings keep better time. One of the weird things is these days, with drum machines and mechanical things, a lot of recording and things like that are actually something that it has taken like a human element out of music. I feel it's my personal opinion, and the fact that human beings are not perfect. They fluctuate. Maybe it'll be a little bit faster here, almost imperceptible to our human ear, but that's what makes it sound human. You may not be able to put your finger on it necessarily, but that's what it is. And these days things are quantized and perfectly on the beat, and it's something that, I don't know, I feel like it takes the human element out of music. But in any event, it's funny because we try to get close to that, but it's almost like you don't really want that at the same time. So let's get into it, how to use it. When I was growing up, I was more kind of into rock players, and the way that I was taught to use it, and from all the things that were available at the time. Okay, so this is set to 60 beats a minute. And when I first started out, what I started doing was just playing on every beat quarter note. So that would be, if I just played a random major scale, it would be like. If you notice, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing with my right hand, but I'm just doing alternate picking. And we're just on every beat. Then the next thing would be like eighth notes. That would be like. What I'm going for is I'm trying to lose the note that's on the beat in the tick, like right in the center of the tick. It gets lost in that, right? So that's the goal. So. 16th notes. Okay, so again, that's just straight time, strong beats on 1 and 3. One thing I like about this is it actually gets you to kind of listen to something else while you're playing, which is sometimes a hard thing to teach, but you're sort of teaching yourself how to do it when you play with a metronome. And that's something that is a very valuable skill to have if you're a musician. If you're playing with other musicians, it's not just you playing, and you're just not paying attention to anything else that's going on around you, because that's not what making music to me is about. What making music to me is about is like a dialogue or a conversation that occurs, between musicians that are on stage making music or recording or what have you. And this is something that kind of trains you to listen to things outside of yourself. So it's a good way to kind of get into that. Now, when I went to college, what was presented to me was to try to start working with the metronome. But the metronome being the ticks of the metronome, you have to imagine that those are beats 2 and 4 in a measure of 4/4 time. So now we're accentuating the backbeat, right, which from rock would be the backbeat 2 and 4, or jazz, blues, funk, like most American music. The strong beats are 2 and 4, so that would be something like this. So if I just leave it at 60 now it becomes actually 120, because it would be twice as fast, right? That's 2 and 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm listening. I kind of got a little ahead of myself there at one point, but I'm trying to listen to the metronome and play along with it, and what I'm not trying to do is over accentuate the swing feel. So that would kind of be like right, I'm not going to ba da 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 da. You just try to play it straight, play the eighth notes just as is, and you will develop more like an organic kind of swing feel. So, you know, and you can play anything that you want, which kind of leads me to my next thing is obviously, I just played this B flat major scale for every example. You could do this with any type of scale. You do it with sequences, you know. Okay, so and so on and so forth down. What I like to do too is something that I saw Joe DiOrio talk about, but I kind of already was doing these kinds of things on my own. Not trying to take credit for it, but I just feel like it's something that is pretty creative, and that is to just sort of let your hand wander around the fretboard, not worrying necessarily about playing over any specific change. Like I am trying to maybe play certain shapes or sounds that I'm going for, different types of chord, but I'm not thinking specifically like a progression, like a 2-5-1 or something like that. So I'm not I'm going to demonstrate that, but I'm not trying to play over anything specific. So that would kind of be like, let me speed this up a little bit. So if I was just going So again, it's just something that to me is very interesting, and it's very creative, and it's always fresh, and I think like that's the kind of thing that you can do where you'll discover new things. You know, you might discover a lick that you come up with on your own, and it's your lick, and it's like your language and your thing that you're trying to communicate, right? So one of the things that I think at some point I heard like Miles Davis or somebody say, it's very rare that you will play something that is fresh or new, or something that maybe you haven't heard before, because you got to remember that you're the only person that's ever heard everything you've ever played. So these guys were playing 6 or 7 nights a week, like all year, and it's just they get up on stage night after night, and it's like, hey, we're hitting this change on this song, and you sort of get in a rut because you're just playing something that is maybe a lick that you play in that part of the song, and obviously like we don't want to get stuck in that rut. So by doing something like this, I think it's very freeing, and it allows you to sort of like at some level develop your own voice and your own thing. So anyway, hopefully that helps with playing with a metronome, and we'll see you next time.